In terms of the game as a whole, I was very pleased with what I saw, in case you can't tell already. The play calling was a breath of fresh air. It was everything I could have hoped for all off season. Me and Casey were talking about how excited we were just for creative play calling, how excited we were for the uniqueness of Coach K coming in and just reworking this Penn State offense, having so much talent to work with. We saw all of that on display, and hopefully it continues to grow throughout the season, especially in those big games. It's what we got Coach K for, man. We didn't get him to beat West Virginia and Bowling Green and these not-so-good teams. We got him to beat Ohio State and Michigan. And if he can do that, he will be forever a legend in Happy Valley. And so we have plenty of time before that, plenty of time to work on things. It's not like this game was perfect, but it was much improved already from last season, and I'm really excited to see where it goes over the next couple of weeks into those big games. Trey Wallace looked like one of, if not the best receiver in the Big Ten, and will have a monster year as long as he stays healthy. He was incredibly impressive. You'd be hard-pressed to find a receiver in this conference that looked as athletic and dynamic as him, and he's just so fundamentally sound. He runs the routes so crisp, and the movements he makes, just shaking defenders out of their shoes. After the catch, he's as good as anybody in the country. Tons of speed. He's just really impressive. We've seen bits and pieces of him when he's been healthy. Unfortunately, that just hasn't been very much. And if he can stay on the field all season long, my goodness, he's going to be a contender for first team All Big Ten. Amari Evans will continue to be a dangerous downfield threat. Like I said, with Coach K more than willing to let Drew air it out, those two could start to develop quite the downfield connection. That throw that Drew made to Amari early in the game was 55 yards downfield. I saw a report that Drew threw that 65 yards just straight up in the air. That is some arm strength. That is what we expected from our five-star quarterback the last couple of seasons. And now with some better play calling, with a much more experienced downfield threat like Amari Evans, I think we're going to start to see some more of that in the future games. Tyler Warren looked dominant as always, both in pass catching and blocking. Some of those blocks he made, that Nick Singleton 40-yard touchdown run, that doesn't happen without Tyler Warren just going crazy and blocking. So kudos to him there. However, the issue here is those are the only three receivers to even get targeted in this game. Julian Fleming, who everyone was super excited about, had a quietly good debut. You're like, wait a minute, quietly good? He didn't even get thrown at. I'll say this. Sure, he didn't catch any passes or even get a ball thrown his way. Is that a problem? I'm going to ask that, because I don't think it is. I'm just not going to overthink this. Some people are saying, oh, Julian Fleming didn't even get thrown at. Is he a part of this offense? Is he the wide receiver on blah, 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 blah. That's overthinking it, in my opinion. Coach Franklin said after the game that Fleming controlled what he could control, and he did. He ran good routes. He cleared out some safeties. He blocked at an elite level all game long. It's the one thing that we knew he could dominate at coming from Ohio State. He's probably the best blocking wide receiver in the country. You saw how that helped. This team doesn't win that game as easily without Julian Fleming. This matchup didn't favor him very well. The hope is that he will continue to take on more prominent roles as the season progresses. He will have his time to shine later on. But as of right now, that was a solid performance in a game where Coach Franklin, Coach K, they might have said, hey, this is what you want. This is what we want you to do. And he's like, all right, I'll do that. And if that's how it's going to be, if he's just going to be that kind of guy where he can fill his role in each game as a slot receiver, I think we saw we don't need Julian Fleming to dominate to beat West Virginia. We're going to need Julian Fleming to play some big games later in the season, and if he can be there for us then, that's what's going to matter. Don't overthink this quite yet. Julian Fleming will have his time to shine, and I believe he's got the ability to shine later on.